Commander Ji-hoon sat in his chair on the bridge of Sentinel-9. The space station was huge, floating at the edge of known space. For 20 years, Ji-hoon had worked here. His job was simple: watch the borders and make sure every ship that passed was registered properly. Every ship in the Galactic Empire had a code, a number, and a proper record. It was the law. The bridge was quiet that morning. Most of the crew were drinking coffee and checking their screens. Nothing exciting ever happened out here. Pirates sometimes tried to hide their signals, but they always left traces. The sensors could find them easily. Lieutenant Minji walked up to Ji-hoon's chair. She looked worried. Her eyes were fixed on her datapad. "Commander," she said quietly, "we have a problem." Ji-hoon looked up at her. Minji was his second in command. She was smart and calm. If she was worried, then something was really wrong. "What is it?" Ji-hoon asked. "There is a ship coming toward us," Minji said. She put her datapad on the screen so everyone could see. "But it has no signal, no transponder code, no registry number. Nothing at all." Ji-hoon stood up from his chair. He walked closer to the main screen. There it was, a small dot moving through space. The sensors showed it was a ship, but they could not read anything else about it. No identification, no information. It was like a ghost. "How is this possible?" Ji-hoon asked. "Every ship has a code. Even the oldest ones I do not know, Commander," Minji replied. "Our systems cannot read it at all. The ship is there, but it is like it does not exist in our database." The other crew members stopped their work. They all looked at the screen now. A ship with no registration was impossible. It had never happened before. "Send a message," Ji-hoon ordered. "Tell them to identify themselves and stop their approach." Minji sent the message. They waited. 1 minute passed. Then 2 minutes, then 5. No response came back. The unknown ship kept moving closer. Its speed was steady. It did not slow down or change direction. It was coming straight toward Sentinel-9. "Contact Captain Hyun," Ji-hoon said. "Tell him to move his patrol ship into position. We might need backup." Captain Hyun commanded the patrol cruiser called Talon's Edge. He was young and aggressive. He liked to fight. Within minutes, his voice came through the communication system. "Commander Ji-hoon, this is Hyun. I see the target on my sensors. Should I move to intercept?" "Yes," Ji-hoon replied, "but do not fire unless I give the order. We need to find out what this ship is first." "Understood," Hyun said, but Ji-hoon could hear the disappointment in his voice. Dr. Suman came onto the bridge. She was the station's medical officer, but she also studied alien life forms. She looked at the screen with curiosity. "Is it possible this is a new species?" Suman asked. "Maybe they do not know about our registration system." "Maybe," Ji-hoon said, "but why would they come straight toward us? If they were explorers, they would be more careful." Minji worked on her console, trying to get more information. After several minutes, she found something. "Commander, I have analyzed the ship's hull," she said. "The material does not match anything in our database. This is not from any of the 73 species in the Empire. This is something completely new." A cold feeling went down Ji-hoon's back. A new species. That meant first contact. First contact situations were dangerous. They could go very wrong very quickly. "Send another message," Ji-hoon ordered. "Use all frequency bands. Tell them we are peaceful, but they must stop and identify themselves." This time, something happened. The ship slowed down a little. Then a message came back. The voice was strange, with an odd accent. The translation software had to work hard to make it clear. "This is the Earth vessel Wanderer. We mean no harm. We seek trade and knowledge, Earth." Ji-hoon had never heard of such a place. He looked at Minji. She shook her head. The name meant nothing to any of them. "Wanderer, this is Commander Ji-hoon of the Galactic Empire," he replied. "You must provide your registry number and origin coordinates immediately." There was a pause. Then the voice came back. "We have no registry number. We are from a star system you might call Sol. We are human. We did not know about your empire until we saw your station." Hyun's voice cut in on the command channel. He sounded angry. "Commander, this is suspicious. They refuse to follow protocol. I recommend we disable their ship and board it." "Wait," Suman said quickly. "They might be telling the truth. If they are from outside Empire space, they would not know our laws." Ji-hoon thought for a moment. He had to make a decision. The ship was getting closer. In a few minutes, it would be in weapons range. "Wanderer, stop your ship immediately," Ji-hoon commanded. "Do not come any closer until we can verify your story." The human ship did not stop. It kept moving forward at the same speed. They are not obeying, Hyun shouted. I am firing warning shots. Hyun, wait, Ji-hoon started to say, but it was too late. Two bright streaks of energy shot from Hyun's patrol cruiser. They passed in front of the human ship, missing it by just a few hundred meters. It was a clear warning. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the human ship did something impossible. It suddenly accelerated, moving faster than any ship Ji-hoon had ever seen. It dodged to the side, avoiding the next warning shots before Hyun even fired them. The sensors went crazy, showing speed readings that should not be possible. That vessel is not registered, and it is heading right for us, Ji-hoon shouted to his crew. All hands to battle stations. Raise shields. The human ship raced toward Sentinel-9. Hyun's cruiser tried to follow, but it was too slow. The Wanderer moved like nothing they had ever seen before. It was fast, agile, and completely unpredictable. Alarms rang throughout the station. Crew members ran to their emergency positions. Ji-hoon stood on the bridge watching the human ship approach. His heart was beating fast. Was this an attack? Were they about to die? Then just as suddenly as it had accelerated, the human ship stopped. It hung in space, perfectly still, directly in front of Sentinel-9, close enough to be dangerous, close enough to attack, but it just waited there, silent and mysterious. The voice came through the communication system again. We apologize for the alarm. We reacted to the weapons fire. We are still peaceful. Please, can we talk? Ji-hoon looked at the screen. The human ship sat there waiting. It had shown incredible speed and skill. If it wanted to destroy the station, it probably could, but it was asking to talk instead. He took a deep breath and made his decision. Minji, open a secure channel, he said. Let us see what these humans want. 3 hours passed. The human ship still floated in front of Sentinel-9. Ji-hoon had called 4 more patrol cruisers to surround it. All weapons were locked on target. Captain Hyun wanted to attack, but Ji-hoon held him back. The humans had not made any aggressive moves. They just waited there, repeating their peaceful message over and over. Dr. Suman stood beside Ji-hoon's chair. She had been arguing for the past hour. We should talk to them directly, she said. If they wanted to attack us, they would have done it already. Their ship is clearly powerful, but they are choosing to be peaceful. Ji-hoon nodded slowly. He knew Suman was right, but talking to unknown aliens was risky. What if it was a trick? What if they were studying the station's defenses? Still, they could not wait forever. He had to make a decision. All right, he said finally. We will have a video conference, but keep all weapons ready. If they try anything, we fire immediately. Minji set up the video link. A few moments later, the screen showed the inside of the human ship. 3 people stood there, looking back at them through the camera. They looked surprisingly normal. 2 legs, 2 arms, 1 head. They could almost be mistaken for some of the humanoid species in the Empire. But there were differences. Their faces had unique features. Their eyes were different colors. The man in the middle stepped forward. He had gray hair and calm eyes. He smiled, showing his teeth. In some cultures, that meant aggression. But his body language seemed friendly. I am Captain Daehyun of the Earthship Wanderer, he said. Thank you for agreeing to talk with us. We truly mean no harm. Ji-hoon studied the human captain. He seemed honest, but appearances could be deceiving. I am Commander Ji-hoon. This is my station. You have caused quite a problem for us. Every ship in our empire must be registered. You have no registration. You come from unknown space. You refuse to follow our protocols. Explain yourself, Daehyun nodded. I understand your concern. Let me explain. Humanity discovered faster-than-light travel only 50 years ago. We have been exploring space, trying to learn about the universe. We did not know about your empire. We did not know about your registration system. When we saw your station, we thought it would be a good opportunity to make contact. A woman with oil-stained hands stepped forward next. She had a warm smile. I am Ji-woo, the ship's engineer, she said. We are sorry for the confusion. Our technology is different from yours. That is why your sensors could not read our ship properly. We did not mean to hide from you. Captain Hyun's voice came through the communication channel. Commander Ji-hoon, this is a trick. How can a species with only 50 years of space travel have better technology than our empire? We have been in space for thousands of years. It was a good question. Ji-hoon looked at the humans, waiting for an answer. Ji-woo laughed. It is not that your technology is bad. It is just different. We build our ships to be fast and hard to detect. We had to. Our home system had dangerous neighbors. We learned to run and hide before we learned to fight. Dangerous neighbors? Minji asked. What do you mean? The third human, a quiet man with intense eyes, finally spoke. His name was Taejin, and he was the pilot. There are things in the darkness beyond your borders, he said quietly. Things that do not talk. Things that only destroy. We have fought them. We have barely survived. That is why we came looking for allies. The bridge of Sentinel-9 went quiet. Everyone looked at each other nervously. Threats beyond the Empire's borders? That was not possible. The Empire was the most powerful force in this part of space. Nothing could threaten them. Dr. Suman leaned forward. Tell us more about these threats. What are they? Daehyun's face became serious. We call them devourers. They are biomechanical creatures. They consume entire planets. They take all the resources, all the life, and turn it into more of themselves. We have fought them 3 times. Each time we won, but barely. Each time they came back stronger. Hyun's voice cut in again. More lies, Commander. We should arrest these humans. They are trying to scare us. Jihoon was not so sure. The humans seemed genuinely worried. Why would they lie about something so serious? Before he could respond, alarms started ringing. Minji looked at her console, her face going pale. Commander, she said urgently, Admiral Youngsu is here. He has brought a full battle fleet. Jihoon's heart sank. Admiral Youngsu was the commander of the Imperial Navy. If he had come personally, it meant the situation was now a major military incident. The Admiral's face appeared on another screen. He was an old man with many scars from past battles. His eyes were sharp and calculating. Commander Jihoon, report, the Admiral ordered. Jihoon explained everything that had happened. The unregistered ship. The humans. Their claims about threats from beyond Empire space. The Admiral listened without interrupting. When Jihoon finished, Admiral Youngsu was quiet for a moment. Then he spoke directly to the humans. Captain Daehyun, I am Admiral Youngsu. I have run simulations of combat with your ship based on what we have observed. The results are not favorable for us. Your vessel is faster and more agile than anything we have. If you wanted to cause trouble, you could escape easily. Or worse, you could cause serious damage before we could stop you. Daehyun nodded. That is correct. But we have no desire to fight you. We came seeking friends, not enemies. The Admiral continued. I am going to take a risk. I am granting you safe passage to our capital world, Vextar Prime. You will present your case to the Grand Council. They will decide what to do with you. But you will travel under heavy escort. Commander Jihoon and his team will accompany you as observers. Is this acceptable? Daehyun looked at his crew. Chi-woo nodded. Taejin gave a small shrug. The human captain turned back to the screen. We accept your offer, Admiral. Thank you for your wisdom. Hyun's voice protested loudly, but Admiral Youngsu cut him off. Captain Hyun, your objection is noted, but my decision is final. We will learn more about these humans. And if their warnings about threats are true, we need to know about it. The journey to Vextar Prime would take 3 weeks. Jihoon gathered his team. Lieutenant Minji would come with him. So would Dr. Suman. They would transfer to the human ship and travel with them. It was a chance to learn about these strange newcomers. As they prepared to leave, Taejin requested a private conversation with Jihoon. They met in a small room on the station. The human pilot looked serious. Commander, there is something you should know. Something we did not say in front of everyone. Jihoon waited. Taejin took a deep breath. The Devourers are not just dangerous. They are already near your borders. Our scouts detected them moving into this region of space. That is the real reason we came here so urgently. We were not just exploring. We were fleeing. And we were hoping to warn you before they arrive. How long do we have? Jihoon asked, feeling cold. Taejin shook his head. I do not know. Maybe months. Maybe weeks. But they are coming. And when they arrive, everything will change. Your empire has been at peace for a long time. You are not ready for war. Not this kind of war. Jihoon sat down heavily. For 20 years, his biggest worry was checking ship registrations. Now he was being told that an existential threat was approaching. Monsters from the darkness. And the only warning came from humans nobody had ever heard of before. Why should I believe you? He asked finally. Taejin looked him straight in the eyes. Because if I am lying, you lose nothing by preparing. But if I am telling the truth and you do nothing, you lose everything. Your choice, Commander. Jihoon knew the pilot was right. He would have to tell Admiral Youngsu. He would have to make them understand. The Empire needed to prepare for war, even if nobody believed the humans yet. Even if it seemed impossible. Because deep in his heart, Jihoon had a terrible feeling that the humans were telling the truth. And that changed everything. The journey to Vextar Prime took 3 weeks. Commander Jihoon and his team lived on the human ship during this time. It was a strange experience. The Wanderer was so different from Imperial vessels. Imperial ships were organized strictly. Everyone had a rank and a specific job. Orders came from the top and flowed downward. But the humans worked differently. They talked about everything. They argued about decisions. Captain Daehyun asked his crew for opinions before giving orders. Lieutenant Minji found this fascinating. She spent hours with Engineer Jiwoo, learning about human technology and culture. Jiwoo explained that humans believed in individual freedom and creativity. If a regulation stopped progress, humans changed the regulation. Does that not create chaos? Minji asked. Jiwoo smiled. Sometimes yes, but chaos can be good. Chaos means change. Change means growth. If you never have chaos, you never improve. Minji did not know what to think about this. The Empire valued order and stability, but she had to admit, the human ship ran very efficiently despite its lack of strict hierarchy. Jihoon spent most of his time talking with Captain Daehyun. The human captain told stories about Earth. He described the planet's history, its wars, its struggles. Humanity had fought many terrible conflicts, but eventually they learned to work together. Not through conquest, but through cooperation. Dr. Suman was most interested in human biology and culture. She discovered that humans were remarkably adaptable. They could eat many different foods. They could survive in various climates. Their bodies were not as strong as some species, but their minds were flexible and creative. Pilot Taejin remained quiet most of the time. But one evening he sat with Jihoon and told him more about the Devourers. They are not like any enemy you have faced, Taejin explained. They do not want territory. They do not want power. They only want to consume. They strip planets of everything useful. Metal, organic matter, energy, then they move to the next world. They are like a plague that spreads across space. How do you fight them? Jihoon asked. You run, you hide. You strike fast and escape faster. Traditional battle tactics do not work. They adapt too quickly. The only way to win is to be unpredictable, always changing, always surprising them. Jihoon thought about the Imperial military. They had not fought a real war in centuries. Their tactics were old and traditional. If Taejin was right, the Empire was not ready for this kind of enemy. Finally, after 3 weeks of travel, they arrived at Vextar Prime. Jihoon had seen the capital world many times before, but watching the humans react to it was interesting. Jiwoo stood at the window, her mouth open in amazement. The planet was beautiful. Cities of gleaming towers covered entire continents. Massive space stations orbited overhead. Defensive platforms larger than most ships floated in protective formations. This is incredible, Jiwoo whispered. You have built something truly magnificent. But Daehyun looked thoughtful. He studied the defensive platforms carefully. Jihoon noticed this. Something wrong, Captain? He asked. Daehyun hesitated before answering. Your defenses are impressive, but they are old designs. We have similar platforms from 50 years ago. Have you not improved them? Jihoon felt a flash of anger. Then he realized Daehyun was right. The Empire's technology had not changed much in recent centuries. Why would it? Everything worked fine. There had been peace. No reason to improve. But now, looking at it through human eyes, Jihoon saw the problem. The Empire had become comfortable. Too comfortable. They had stopped innovating. The Wanderer landed at the main spaceport. Armed guards surrounded it immediately. Admiral Youngsu was there to meet them personally. He escorted the humans to the Grand Council chamber. The chamber was enormous. Representatives from all 73 species sat in a great circle. Each species had its own section. Some were humanoid like Jihoon. Others were completely alien. Giant insect creatures, beings made of living crystal, entities that floated in special atmosphere tanks. Captain Daehyun stood in the center. Jiwoo and Taejin flanked him. Jihoon stood nearby as a witness. The council leader, an ancient being from one of the founding species, spoke first. You are humans. You come from outside our borders. You have no registration. You follow no known protocols. Explain why we should not consider you a threat and remove you. Daehyun bowed respectfully. Honorable Council, we came here seeking allies. We have encountered a terrible enemy. An enemy that threatens not just humanity but potentially your entire empire. We call them devourers. They consume worlds and leave nothing behind. One of the council members, a woman named Bora, laughed. Impossible. Nothing could threaten our empire. We have existed for over 2,000 years. We are the most powerful force in this region of space. Another council member, a younger man named Minho, raised his hand. Let them speak, Councillor Bora. If they came all this way, we should at least hear them out. Daehyun continued. We do not claim to be better than you. We are young and inexperienced. But we have fought these creatures. We have learned painful lessons. We want to share that knowledge. In return, we ask for recognition and the possibility of trade and alliance. Bora stood up angrily. You are asking us to change our laws for you? To accept a species that refuses hierarchy? That has no proper government? You represent chaos. The Empire was founded to prevent chaos. The debate went on for hours. Some council members were curious about the humans. Others saw them as dangerous. The arguments grew heated. Finally, Councillor Minho made a suggestion. Let us test them. If their technology is truly advanced, let them prove it. A military exercise. Their ship against our best patrol cruisers. Admiral Youngsu agreed to this. 3 days later, the test took place. Taejin piloted the Wanderer against 3 Imperial cruisers, the best pilots in the Navy. The exercise lasted 7 minutes. Taejin flew circles around the Imperial ships. He demonstrated how he could have destroyed all 3 without taking any damage himself. He never fired a single shot. He just showed them how helpless they were against his skills and technology. The Imperial pilots were humiliated. The council members were shocked. Bora sat down heavily, her face pale. Meanwhile, Intelligence Officer Soman had been investigating human claims about the Devourers. She had access to long-range sensor data from the border regions. What she found terrified her. The next day, she presented her report to the council. There are anomalies in our outer border regions. Strange energy signatures, disappearing ships. We thought it was equipment failure or pirates. But the patterns match what the humans described. The Devourers are real, and they are already probing our territory. The council chamber erupted in chaos. Representatives shouted at each other. Some demanded military mobilization. Others insisted on trying diplomatic contact first. Bora blamed the humans for bringing this threat to their attention. Daehyun tried to explain. The Devourers do not care about borders or politics. They would have come anyway. We came to warn you, to help you prepare, but fear had taken over. The council could not agree on what to do. Hours passed. The debate went nowhere. Then the alarms began to sound, loud and urgent. Everyone stopped talking. A military officer ran into the chamber. His face was white with terror. Emergency, he shouted. Unknown fleet emerging at the system's edge. Hundreds of ships. They are not responding to hails. They match the descriptions the humans provided. The Devourers are here. The chamber fell silent. Every representative stared at the main screen as it showed sensor data. A massive fleet of strange, organic-looking ships was approaching. They were huge. They were numerous. And they were coming straight for Vextar Prime. Captain Daehyun looked at the council members. His expression was grim. The debate is over, he said quietly. War has arrived. The only question now is whether you will let us help you survive it. The battle began within hours. The Empire's defensive platforms opened fire first. Massive energy beams shot across space toward the approaching Devourer fleet. The weapons hit their targets perfectly, but the Devourer ships did not explode. Their strange biomechanical hulls absorbed the damage. Ji-hoon watched in horror as the enemy vessels regenerated. Within minutes, the damage was gone. It was like shooting at something that could heal itself. The platforms fired again. This time, the damage was less effective. The Devourers were adapting. By the third volley, the weapons barely scratched them. Admiral Youngsu commanded the defense fleet from his flagship. He ordered his ships into traditional battle formation. Maintain positions, focus fire on single targets. Wear them down slowly. It was standard Imperial doctrine. It had worked for centuries against pirates and rebels, but it did not work against the Devourers. They moved through the Imperial formations like they were not there. They destroyed ship after ship. The defensive platforms fell one by one. Within just a few hours, the outer defensive perimeter was broken. On the council chamber, panic spread. Some council members wanted to evacuate. Others insisted on fighting to the last. Councillor Bora sat in shock, unable to speak. Captain Daehyun stood and spoke loudly. Listen to me. Your tactics are not working. The Devourers adapt to sustained attacks. You cannot beat them by following your old strategies. You need to change. Admiral Youngsu appeared on the screen from his ship. What do you suggest, human? Daehyun leaned forward. Break your formations. Attack from unpredictable angles. Change weapons frequently. Never use the same tactic twice. The Devourers are strong, but they struggle with chaos. You need to embrace chaos to defeat them. Bora stood up angrily, even in this crisis. You want us to abandon centuries of military doctrine? This is madness. Councillor Minho grabbed her arm. Bora, look at the screens. We are losing! Maybe madness is exactly what we need right now. The vote was quick. The council gave Daehyun temporary command authority. Admiral Youngsu agreed to follow human guidance. He had no pride left. He just wanted to save his people. Daehyun immediately started giving orders. Break formation. All ships choose your own attack vectors. Do not coordinate. Be unpredictable. Engineer Jiwoo. Help their technicians modify weapon systems. Change the frequencies. Make it random. Jiwoo contacted Imperial engineers across the fleet. She taught them quickly how to make their weapons unpredictable. Instead of firing the same energy beams, they would vary the frequency with each shot. The Devourers would not have time to adapt. Taejin began training Imperial pilots. Forget everything you learned in the academy, he told them. Fly by instinct. Be aggressive. Break every rule. Survive by being impossible to predict. Commander Ji-hoon led a squadron using these new tactics. It felt wrong at first. Imperial training emphasized order and coordination. But when he attacked a Devourer ship from an unexpected angle, using randomized weapons, it worked. The enemy ship took real damage. It could not adapt fast enough. Other Imperial pilots saw this. They started following Ji-hoon's example. Soon the entire fleet was fighting differently. Ships darted in and out. Weapons changed constantly. Attack patterns were chaotic. The Devourer advance slowed. Imperial casualties decreased. Ships that had been losing before were now winning. The humans had been right. Chaos was the answer, but the victory was short-lived. A massive ship emerged from the Devourer fleet. It was 10 times larger than any other enemy vessel. Intelligence Officer Soman analyzed it from the command center. It is a command ship, she reported. It is coordinating their entire fleet, and according to my scans, it contains biological matter from dozens of species, including humans. Taejin's face went pale. They consumed one of our colony ships. That thing has eaten human knowledge. It knows our tactics now. Almost immediately, the Devourer fleet changed its behavior. They started countering human tactics. They began to predict the unpredictable. The command ship was too intelligent. It was learning too fast. Daehyun studied the tactical display. His face was grim. There is only one option. We have to destroy that command ship. Without it, the rest of their fleet will become disorganized again. How? Admiral Youngsu asked. It is too well protected. We would lose half our fleet trying to get close. Daehyun was quiet for a moment. Then he spoke. The Wanderer will do it. We have one chance. Engineer Jiwoo has been preparing our engines for an emergency overload. We can ram the command ship at faster than light speeds. The impact will destroy both vessels completely. It is a suicide mission, Admiral Youngsu said quietly. Yes, Daehyun replied, but it is the only way to save your world. This is why we came here, to help you survive. This is our purpose. Ji-hoon could not accept this. No, there must be another way. You cannot just die. Daehyun smiled sadly. Commander, you have become a friend. But sometimes friends must make sacrifices. Tell your people we came seeking allies. We found family. That is enough, Lieutenant Minji stood suddenly. Then we are coming with you. If you die, we die together. That is what family means, Ji-hoon nodded. He gathered volunteers quickly. Minji joined immediately. Even Captain Hyun, who had hated the humans at first, added his damaged cruiser to the suicide fleet. The humans had earned his respect through their courage. Dr. Suman coordinated evacuation of civilians to shelters. Councillor Minho took command of the civilian government, preparing for the worst. Even Councillor Bora, who had opposed the humans from the start, broadcast a message. She admitted she was wrong. She called for all species in the Empire to unite under human tactical guidance. The suicide fleet made its approach, 10 ships including the Wanderer. They flew through a storm of enemy fire. Ships exploded around them. Hyun's cruiser took fatal damage but stayed in formation long enough to clear a path. Hyun's last words came through the communication system. "Tell my family I died well. Tell them the humans taught me what real courage means." Then his ship exploded in a ball of fire. The Wanderer pushed through. Taejin flew like never before. Jiwoo prepared the engines for overload. Daehyun stood on the bridge, calm and ready. As they approached the command ship, Daehyun sent one final message to Admiral Youngsu. "We did not come to your empire seeking glory. We came seeking family. In this moment, fighting beside you, we found what we were looking for. Remember us." The Wanderer accelerated to impossible speeds, faster and faster. The ship began to shake apart from the stress. Then they hit. The explosion was massive. It tore a hole in space itself. The command ship disintegrated. The shockwave destroyed dozens of Devourer vessels nearby. The blast disabled enemy ships across the entire system. Without their command ship, the Devourers became disorganized and confused. Admiral Youngsu led the Imperial fleet in a final attack. Using human tactics, they destroyed or drove off the remaining enemy forces. The battle was won. Vextar Prime was saved, but the cost was terrible. Thousands of Imperial soldiers had died. The humans who had warned them, who had taught them, who had sacrificed themselves were gone, or so everyone thought. 3 days later, as rescue crews searched through the debris field, they found something impossible. An escape pod with human markings. Inside, barely alive, was engineer Jiwoo. She was rushed to the medical center. Dr. Suman treated her personally. As Jiwoo woke up, she spoke in a weak voice. The impact created a quantum anomaly. Daehyun and Taejin might have been pulled into it. They might be alive, trapped in some kind of time bubble, and I have data from the command ship's core. Information about the Devourers, their weaknesses, their home base. Everything we need to end this war. Hope returned to the Empire. The war was not over, but now they had a chance. A real chance to win. The humans had given them that gift. Now they just needed to find a way to return the favor. 3 months passed after the battle. The Empire slowly rebuilt. The attack had damaged 40% of the capital's orbital structures. But thanks to Dr. Suman's evacuation efforts, most civilians had survived. She became a hero to many people. The Grand Council appointed her to lead the recovery efforts. Engineer Jiwoo recovered in a hospital bed. Scientists and military officers visited her constantly. Everyone wanted to understand the data she had saved. The information from the Devourer command ship was incredible. It contained maps showing Devourer territory. It revealed their weaknesses. Most importantly, it showed the location of their main hive worlds. Intelligence Officer Samin led a team to analyze everything. What she learned was both terrifying and hopeful. The Devourers were ancient. They had consumed thousands of civilizations over millions of years. They were a collective mind spread across space, but they had a weakness. During their breeding cycle, they gathered at specific hive worlds. If those worlds were destroyed, the entire Devourer network would collapse. They would lose coordination. They would become just mindless machines easy to destroy. This knowledge changed everything. The war could be won, but it would require an enormous effort. The Empire would have to launch offensive operations deep into unexplored space. It would take years. It would risk everything. Commander Ji-hoon refused to give up on his friends. He believed Jiwoo's theory about the quantum anomaly. Every day he led search operations through the debris field. Lieutenant Minji helped with calculations. She tried to predict where a time bubble might have formed. On the 47th day, they found it. A strange distortion in space. Sensors showed time moving differently inside it. And in the center, frozen like insects in amber, were 2 escape pods. Captain Daehyun and pilot Taejin were inside, alive but trapped in stop time. The rescue operation was incredibly dangerous. They had to carefully extract the pods without destroying the time bubble. But Minji calculated every step perfectly. After 12 hours of delicate work, they succeeded. The humans were returned to normal time. Daehyun woke up confused. To him, only seconds had passed since the impact. When he learned they had won the battle and that months had gone by, he could not believe it. Tears filled his eyes when Jiwoo walked into his hospital room. The Grand Council convened again. This time there was no debate. Counselor Bora stood first to speak. She looked directly at the humans. "I was wrong about you," she said. I feared chaos. I feared change. But you showed us that sometimes survival requires exactly what we fear most. You gave everything to save us. The Empire owes you a debt we can never repay. Counselor Minho then proposed historic reforms. The Empire would change its structure. It would maintain order and stability, but also encourage innovation and flexibility. Rules would be guidelines, not chains. Different approaches would be welcomed, not feared. The vote was unanimous. Humanity became the 74th member species of the Galactic Empire. But there was more. Admiral Youngsu recommended creating a joint military command. Human officers would be integrated at all levels. They would teach their tactics to every soldier in the Empire. The old ways had failed. The new ways had succeeded. It was time to adapt. Captain Daehyun was promoted to admiral. He would command a new combined fleet of human and Imperial ships. Taejin became head of the fighter corps, training the next generation of pilots. Jiwoo was given leadership of a research division that combined Imperial resources with human creativity. The Empire began building an armada. Ships from every world, resources from every species. They would take the fight to the Devourers. They would end the threat once and for all. But first, Daehyun needed to return to Earth. He had to tell his people about the Alliance. He had to recruit more humans to join the fight. The Grand Council agreed and sent a delegation with him. Jihoon, Minji, Suman, and Soman all volunteered to go. They wanted to see the human homeworld. After everything they had been through, they needed to understand where their friends came from. Earth amazed them. It was so different from Imperial worlds. There was no single capital city, no central government building. Instead, thousands of different cultures existed side by side. They argued. They competed. They cooperated. It looked like chaos, but somehow it worked. Jihoon finally understood. Humans were not chaotic because they were primitive. They were chaotic because they chose to be. They believed diversity and individual freedom created strength, not weakness. And looking at Earth's resilience, he had to admit they were right. When Daehyun called for volunteers to join the war effort, millions responded. Not because they were ordered to, not because of duty, but because they wanted to protect new friends. Because they believed in the Alliance, the combined fleet prepared to depart. 3 strike forces, each targeting a devourer hive world. It was the most ambitious military operation in galactic history. The fate of countless civilizations depended on its success. On the day before departure, Admiral Daehyun addressed the entire fleet. His crew stood beside him on the bridge of the rebuilt Wanderer. Jiwoo at her engineering station, Taejin at the helm, Jihoon and his team representing the Empire. Daehyun spoke simply and honestly. "We came to your Empire as strangers. You could have destroyed us. You could have turned us away. Instead, you chose to listen. You chose to trust. That choice saved both our peoples," he continued. "None of us are perfect. Humans are too chaotic. The Empire was too rigid. But together we balance each other. Together, we are stronger than anything we face. This is what alliance means. This is what friendship means." The fleet departed the next day. 3 massive strike forces, each commanded jointly by human and Imperial officers. They jumped into hyperspace, heading toward the Devourer hive worlds. The journey would take months. The battles would be fierce. But they went with hope instead of fear. 5 years passed. The war was won. All 3 hive worlds were destroyed. The Devourer collective consciousness shattered. Remnant forces still existed, but they were scattered and weak. They could be hunted down over time. The existential threat was gone. The Empire transformed. 78 species now belonged to it. More applications arrived every month. News of the victory spread. Civilizations that had been hiding from the Devourers now emerged. They wanted to join the alliance that had defeated the ancient enemy. Commander Jihoon became Admiral Jihoon. He commanded the Outer Rim Defense Forces, protecting against unknown threats. Lieutenant Minji served beside him as always. They led fleets where humans and dozens of other species worked together seamlessly. Dr. Suman created an institute dedicated to finding and protecting new species. She made sure no one would face threats like the Devourers alone. Counselor Minho became Grand Chancellor, leading the reformed empire with wisdom. Even Counselor Bora remained active, now one of humanity's strongest supporters. Captain Daehyun and his crew continued exploring. The Wanderer remained the finest ship in either fleet. They searched for new civilizations to invite into the growing alliance. Jiwoo's innovations had revolutionized ship design. Taejin trained thousands of pilots in his unique flying style that combined discipline with creativity. On the 5-year anniversary of first contact, Jihoon and Daehyun met at Sentinel-9. The border station had grown into a massive trade hub. Ships from across the alliance passed through daily. Some were registered, some were not. Nobody cared anymore. They stood before a monument commemorating that day when everything changed. The day an unregistered ship approached from unknown space. To think, Jihoon said with a smile, all of this happened because one ship was not registered. Daehyun laughed. The best things in life rarely follow the rules. They watched together as new ships passed by. Some followed old imperial designs. Others used human innovations. Most combined both approaches. Young pilots of mixed-species crews waved as they flew past. The Empire had learned humanity's greatest lesson. Survival requires adaptation. Adaptation requires accepting what you do not understand. In a dangerous universe, strength comes not from perfect order or total chaos, but from balancing both. What started with fear and confusion had become friendship and alliance. What began with one unregistered ship had transformed an entire civilization. The Galactic Empire would never be the same, and that was exactly how it should be. Somewhere in the darkness beyond known space, new civilizations were rising. They would face their own challenges. They would struggle against their own enemies. And perhaps one day, they too would encounter an unexpected visitor. Someone coming not to conquer, but to offer friendship. Because that is what the Alliance did now. They spread across the galaxy, searching for those who needed help. They remembered what it was like to face extinction alone. They remembered the strangers who came to help when help was needed most. The chaos in the Galactic Empire had become its greatest strength. And it all started with a simple question that no one had been able to answer. That vessel is not registered, and it is heading right for us. What should we do? The answer, they learned, was simple. Talk first. Listen carefully. And be willing to change everything you thought you knew. Because sometimes the unregistered ship heading your way is not a threat. It is your salvation. The end.